Well, this hour, Ghana's export undervalued by an estimated $8.3 billion between 2011 and 2017. This is according to research findings by a consortium including the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research. We have more in this report.
A study by a consortium including the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research has revealed that Ghana's exports were undervalued by an estimated $8.3 billion between 2011 and 2017. The study, spanning 3 political administrations, also revealed that the country lost more than $2 billion in taxes due to the undervaluation of gold exports alone. ISE and its partners, including the Graduate Institute of Geneva, undertook the study as part of Curbing Illicit Financial Flow Research project funded by the Swiss Program for Research on Global Issues for Development. Here, a senior economics researcher at ISE and member of the research team, Dr. Ama Ahinikujo.
We estimated that gold was abnormally undervalued. I'm not sure whether you can see. Abnormally undervalued at about 8.3 billion USD at constant prices, and the base year is 2011. Our study was between 2011 to 2017. And in current prices, this is about 3.8 billion USD. This constitutes approximately 11% of the total value of gold exported during this period. The top 5 destination countries of these undervalued gold exports include major gold refining destinations including India, South Africa, United Arab Emirates, Switzerland, and Portugal, representing major gold refining, trading, and manufacturing destinations.
Senior research fellow at ISE, Fred Janku, is optimistic that if measures are put in place to reduce trade-related illicit financial flow, government will raise revenue to finance its major flagship programs.
The gold that Ghana exports, we get taxes from our gold sector, corporate taxes, about 25%. Of course, there are also royalties and so on. Now, if this gold is undervalued, what it means is that the country loses revenue because the taxes that we are supposed to be receiving, we don't get those taxes. So between 2011 and 2017, which is the period our study covered, we realized that about 7.8 billion Ghana cedis is undervalued every year, 7.8 billion Ghana cedis. Now, if you take about 25% of that, which is the tax that could have accrued to Ghana, that's about 1.8 billion Ghana cedis a year. Now, we are talking about e-levy, which is government trying to get more revenue. What it means is that if we are able to reduce this trade-related illicit financial flows by strengthening the governance system, the data management systems, the policy and regulatory environment, what it means is that we can get more taxes from these resources than we are getting now. What it means, government can then raise more revenue to be able to finance all the projects. We know that we have a huge infrastructure gap that we need to fill. We have flagship programs that Ghana has to finance. So we are arguing that this is one of the ways by which we can raise more revenue.
In 2017, gold accounted for 96.4% of total earnings from mineral exports from Ghana.
Technology expert Ambrose Yena has warned of a collapse of government's digitalization agenda if financial support and other resources are not provided to players in the industry. According to him, government must provide incentives to the tech firms to help facilitate the digitalization of the economy and stimulate growth. He spoke to Joy Business while announcing the closing date actually for the nominations for the Africa Technovate Awards Fair.
Following government's ambition to digitize the economy, an IT expert and CEO of IDEC Consultancies, Ambrose Yena, said financing the technology sector and improving facilities is the way to go. Speaking about the upcoming Africa Technovet Awards Fair, he expressed worry over the application deficiency of technology in the country, pointing out that the prevalence of these key challenges serve as hindrance to the total actualization of its advancement in the country. He therefore reiterated the need for collaborative efforts from government and other relevant stakeholders to support the industry.
The financing, which can be a challenge, but I think we're dealing with it. And then you have infrastructure development, the infrastructure financing, and then technical capacity. Do we have all the human resource in terms of people and skills area? So that is where we need to build human capacity. It requires all technology institutions, governments, political will for us to come together and work together and harness and exploit the best brains in these sectors to be able to chart some path for Africa.
On the company's effort to promote and reward IT innovators, Mr. Yena explained the essence of the award scheme, saying it will help showcase technology innovations in Africa and celebrate the brains behind them.
Develop this program, which we call the Africa Technovet Awards and Fair. We noticed that there hasn't been any continent-wide awards ceremony for top-performing ICT and technology companies. There are technology companies that have been operating for 10, 15 and more years, delivering quality services throughout Africa. And some of them are not even known because we don't celebrate them. Their achievements are not trumpeted. And they are young and innovative digital solutions. And there's no support for them. So IDEC Digital decides this year to do an award ceremony. 15th of February, we close the nominations. The portal is closed. And then we do the assessment.
Pledging support for the event, a multiple award-winning artist, Riala, shared the contributions of technology in the creative arts industry and promised the audience of a thrilling performance at the awards.
I am very happy to be part and performing because as a young musician, I know the importance of the digital world. And this program is just everything Africa. Africa moving forward. Africa catching up with the rest of the world digitally, and even we can even take the lead. Yes, and that's what my music does. I try to cut across and tell the African story in a positive light and see how we can help ourselves and tell our stories ourselves. So I'm very happy to be part, and I'll definitely be entertaining a lot of people. So if you are coming, you better wear your dancing shoes. If I don't wear shoes,
we'll take appropriate steps to effectively deal with money laundering and other fraudulent financial activities in Ghana's cyberspace. In collaboration with the Cybersecurity Authority, IOCO says it will set up monitoring mechanisms that will detect irregular financial transactions online. The Executive Director of IOCO, COP Mamiya Tiwa Adudankwa, says it is working closely with the Cybersecurity Authority on this matter.
When you look at the mandate of IOCO, it mandates us, the mandate empowers IOCO to investigate and also under the leadership of the Office of the Attorney General to prosecute serious offenses involving prohibited cyber activities. Then Section 13 of your own Act also establishes the Joint Cybersecurity Committee, of which IOCO is a member. And it is not for any reason that IOCO is a member, because when you look at the composition of the committee, you have most of the law enforcement agencies as part of the committee. So our visit here today is for us to appreciate and understand the work of Cybersecurity Authority, and also to collaborate, particularly when we look at collaborating efforts, especially in terms of capacity building. And that is an area where my brother will come in so that we will work together. We also know that Cybersecurity Authority has the Law Enforcement Liaison Unit. That is where you have the 24/7 network and investigative assistant. So we are also here to look at how best we can work together so that to achieve our mandate. So who are the agencies that are supposed to work with us? Where do we get our information from? How can we do things better? That is one of the reasons why we are here. From here, we're also meeting NCA. We'll go to FIC. BOG is also on the line somewhere. We are working with Registrar General, Commissioner General, Ghana Revenue Authority to identify what has actually gone wrong so that we put measures in place. Let's forget about what has happened, but also let's look at what can be done. That is what is important to me now. What can we do better so that the past is past and we work in such a way that you wouldn't be here next time asking us why we have delayed. But probably the next time that we'll meet, you commend us for how far we have gone.
Well, for their part, the Cybersecurity Authority says in line with its mandate, enhanced mechanisms are being deployed to ensure that online financial service providers meet minimum standards, which has been put in place actually by the government of Ghana. Dr. Enchi Boesiako is director of the Cybersecurity Authority.
Responsibility for my agency. One is strengthening the financial services sector. In other words, strengthening means activating the preventive and detective mechanisms or enhancing the risk management to be able to detect and prevent the occurrence of the fraud or the security breach itself. I think it's very important that we strengthen that aspect of our response. In the light of that, on the 1st of October 2021, the Minister, Honorable Wesley, who designated about 189 institutions, a number of financial as critical information infrastructure. A number of them were financial institutions. The designation means, if you look at our Act, Section 35, is to ensure that the institutions which are running our financial services, you did mention about the SWIFT and others, have certain level, what we call the baseline cybersecurity measures in place to ensure that they are able to detect and prevent such illicit flow of funds. Therefore, we are currently working with the Bank of Ghana to ensure full compliance of these financial institutions as far as the cybersecurity readiness or the environment is concerned to be able to prevent the occurrence. We're not just looking at the preventive and detective mechanism, but we need to also look at the reactive processes.
Now, what do you normally budget a national service allowance of 559 cedis for? Well, for 25-year-old David Lawe, his plans for the allowance was to establish a catfish business in Accra. The KNUST graduate, upon completing his service in 2020, channeled all his NSS savings into this new venture. In our special feature today, I visited David's makeshift catfish farm as he explores the business of catfish production with me. Take a look. Every entrepreneur has a moment of reflection. For David Lawe Appa, it was a decision to not only venture into catfish farming, but save his entire allowance as a national service personnel for this new venture. With a monthly allowance of 559 cedis, David managed to save 6,000 cedis as starting capital for this venture. Today, he is rearing close to 1,000 catfish. But it never came easy.
Due to COVID, we were kind of running shifts.
Yes.
So I could save those money for a system.
How much were you saving?
I was saving 500 cedis. So mostly we go at least once a week or sometimes 2 times a month. So those 50 Ghana on the 500 cedis was for the transport. Since I was in the house, I was sitting from the house, so I could save that money.
But what kept you going to make this dream of, having to venture into catfishing a reality?
So when I was in school, I realized that the tilapia and the catfish system has a difference. So in Ghana, we have the tilapia market running than the catfish. So it's a new market that is being introduced. So I decided to enter so that I don't get late in the race. That's why.
But how was the feedback? I can imagine the feedback from your parents, your siblings when you told them.
They didn't actually support. They felt it was too much, and then it was expensive. And then all the time I was using my money to run the system. So they didn't understand the whole thing. But as time went on, they bought the idea and then they started supporting.
I can see that. But how much specifically did you invest into the fish farming? Totally, like having to start with this catfish business.
We are heading around 9,000, but initially when we started, it was around 6,000.
So when you saved the entire national service money?
Yes, it was around 6,000.
6,000 cities to push into this market. Great. That's lovely. David Lawe Appa is a graduate from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. He understands the nuances of catering for these delicate fishes which have a high mortality rate.
I wake up very early. See, they are really sensitive to sound, so I actually feed them at dawn, around 3 a.m. That time the weather is cool and calm, so you get them eating much at 3. So in the morning when I come, I have a light, so I turn on the lights and then I check if the oxygen level is high or low. So I don't have a probe actually, so I use my observation. So sometimes you see them at the surface taking oxygen in the atmosphere. Because of their burrows, they can survive with that. So when it's like that, then I immediately change the water. This one I change it, but the tap isn't flowing, so that's why it's below. So I change the water, but if it's okay, I feed them and I observe their eating practices. So if their eating aggression is very low, I know that there's a problem.
One secret I've learned about catfish is that they barely like noise, and so they often operate in a very serene environment. The little noise you can see there, then they all tend to be so much restless. It's part of the whole plan that persons like David have learned in, not just cultivating them, but of course putting them up for sale in the market. Catfish farming is aggressively picking up in Ghana, overtaking tilapia. The Fisheries Commission reveals that big investments in agriculture recently have been channeled to catfish production. The Greater Accra region owned a market value of 500,000 cedis in 2020 alone. David is going to teach me how to hold a catfish. Then after that, we're going to weigh the fish on the scale.
So it's a slippery animal.
It's very slippery.
It's very slippery. So these two fins,
yes,
you lock it with your hand.
You lock the fins?
Yes, with your hand. Your 2 fingers. Okay. Yes. No, inside. So you then you hold the head. So with your 2 hands. So actually, so you hold the head from the under.
This way?
Yes.
So that's it?
Yes, that's it.
Okay. I see. And it's interesting, this is a very popular fish, right? Especially in Accra. People really are craving for this kind of fish. I don't know what for a reason. So we're going to weigh the fish now.
We weigh.
So we just place it.
So I'm zeroing it
in the bucket.
So we place.
We just drop it in there.
80 kilos. It
weighs 80?
No, 0.8 kilos.
Yes, so that's 0.8 kilos.
Yeah.
So this is part of the routine you do every day? So let me try and do this myself. So I lock it this.
So you can lock it from this side. Okay. So depending on how big it is, then it determines the number of hands you can use. So this one is not really big, so you can just use your one hand.
Lock it up.
Use this hand. The moment you hold it to flip.
Just this way.
Face it. You have to face it.
And I just drop it there.
Yes.
So I'm currently in the farm with David. We're weighing the fish to see how good they are on the market?
So I did 1.24.
So that's 1.24.
Yes.
They're quite healthy. So you often weigh the fish before you sell to the consumer. So the heavier the fish, the
bigger
the amount. I guess this is also healthy.
This one is
right?
a female, I'm sure.
This is a female. She's pregnant.
Yeah, it has eggs.
Oh, I see. So what happens to the pregnant one?
So it's a female. So this
how do you see it?
So this is the sex organ.
Oh, okay.
So so that's the eggs.
Okay.
So when you press the belly down, the eggs come out. Yes.
So do you have a specific place for pregnant catfish?
So you see, this is not their natural habitat.
Oh, okay.
So you get them reproducing when there's current in the water, when there's a water flow.
Okay. Okay. David's decision to venture into fish farming was met with some opposition in its initial stages.
I was discouraged at a point because in the beginning my family actually had some holdbacks for what I was doing, but now it's cool with them. So yeah. So when you want to actually do it, if you can, you just seek some advice from some of the experts. As at now, I still read my books and ask my friends for some ideas. So.
Charity Appa, sister of David, recalls how she battled to convince him out of his dreams. A move she and the rest of the family would have regretted, she admits.
Oh, honestly, I wasn't in support. When my mommy told me, I told her that, like, how many people take catfish? Like, this is not a business, I was thinking about just the money aspect. And anytime he gets money, he go and buy feed. And he was always broke. So I advised my mommy to tell him that he should stop. But he was passionate about it. And then I realized he loved doing it. So I decided that let's support him if that is what he wanted to do. But I thought it wasn't a good idea. But later on, when I tasted it and then when I went to work too, I realized people really love it. It wasn't just the Nigerians. So I decided that let's support him. So anytime he needs help, we come around.
So help me. So this is one that he just presented us.
Yeah.
So is there a way by which you eat the catfish?
Yeah, we unlike tilapia that sometimes we eat with banku, this one you can just take it like that. We love it.
You can take it without banku.
Oh yeah, you can. Everything is in. It's nutritious. There are vegetables.
I see. Yeah. So this is how the catfish looks when it's done. From the water, the tanker to the grill to the dinner table. This is how it looks. It looks so yummy. So how much in all does this whole catfish cost?
It depends on the weight.
Okay.
It depends.
Catfish is becoming a popular delicacy, especially in the Greater Accra and the Volta regions. Mostly grilled, the ray-thin fish goes for 50 and 60 cedis, depending on its size. Well, this is what family is all about for the Appas. David is so much confident in himself that even though he's starting so small, the joys of his family could motivate him enough to take up huge roles in the future as a fish farmer. I'm Charles Aite reporting for Joy Business. And it was great meeting David. That's how we end the marketplace. But just before we leave, I want to just show you some of the stories on My Joy Online, where you could check it out on our website as well. The leading one, Ghana to lose $1.75 million weekly. Of course, if Maxim doesn't resume operations, that's from the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. You might also not want to lose sight of the World Bank's message to government, the fact that they must remember the poor vulnerable as they take steps to revive the economy. We have all these stories and more on My Joy Online. Please make a date for that. My name is Charles Aite. Many thanks for watching.